It's Colonel Allen West. I want to welcome him back to the show. Colonel, thank you very much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Well, Dan, it's a pleasure to be with you. I want to wish you a happy Constitution Day from the Texas Gun Ranch here in Terrell, Texas, where we've gathered for the homes for our troops. And I got a bunch of great Texans and Americans here who want to say hello to you.
Oh, wow. That sounds like quite, you know what I love about Texas, Colonel? I think I told you this last time, so forgive me, but I love it so much I want to repeat it again. When you ask people from other states where they're from, sometimes they'll tell you the town or the county. When you ask people from Texas or they're like, we're from Texas. They say it with the tude, man, and I love that. So mad respect to our Texas audience and to the folks at the, what is it called, the Texas Gun Ranch?
Texas Gun Ranch in Terrell, Texas, and we're here for a benefit for homes for our troops. We got a bunch of wounded warriors, soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines here. And you're here in the background. We're executing and enjoying our Second Amendment right because today is Constitution Day.
Awesome. Hey, to all of you wounded warriors out there, from the bottom of my heart, man, thank you. From me, and I'm sure an extremely grateful nation. I mean that. So don't mean to put it on a dour note or anything, but thank you. It always touches my heart, all you've given for all of us so we can be free here, and it just means a lot to me. And Colonel, thank you for your service as well. So let me dig in here. Colonel, I want to talk about the border crisis going on, obviously, in your state, but just your quick thoughts on this stunning indictment that came out about this Clinton lawyer. I mean, it's not a complicated case. Hillary Clinton tried to frame Donald Trump for colluding with the Russians, an obvious hoax the whole time. It appears the conspiracy now is enormous. There was a university involved, tech executives. But the crazy part about this whole thing, Colonel, I mean, you were in Congress. You've seen how this stuff works. Congress has oversight. Was the FBI willing players in this? I mean, what happened? It was so obvious this was a hoax the whole time.
Well, I'm sure that Hillary Clinton would respond by saying, at this point, what difference does it make? But it makes a difference to the American people because the American people should have honor, integrity, and character. When you hear with these former soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, that's how they operate, with honor, integrity, and character. And when they don't see elected officials operating with that, it just makes them question, why are these the people that are, quote unquote, in charge of our country? Yeah. And so hopefully the truth will come out. But, Dan, the bottom line is that if there's never any consequences for doing wrong, then what is the purpose of an investigation?
No, that's right. And I think that's why faith in institutions is collapsing everywhere. We're talking to Colonel Allen West, running for governor in Texas. His website, West, the number 4texas.com, westfortexas.com. Colonel, on the now it's beyond a crisis at this point. It's turning into a catastrophe on the border in your state of Texas right there. Del Rio, the numbers vary, but now it's there are upwards of 10 to 12,000 people, not citizens of the United States, amassing on the border, trying to gain entry into this country. Now, to be clear, Colonel, you know as well as I do, that is not a port of entry. It's just a place a bunch of people decided to walk into the United States. Is the tide in Texas turning? I mean, are people in these border states finally saying enough is enough with these open border Democrats?
Well, absolutely right. And that's why we had success in the November 2020 election down in the Rio Grande Valley. You saw that flip and go red, go Republicans. Zapata County, first time in 100 years, went from Democrat to Republican. No one wants to have open borders. No one wants to have police defunded. They don't believe that Texas is just a piece of land in between New Mexico, Louisiana, Arkansas, and Oklahoma and Mexico. We have a border. It should be protected. And when you look at the numbers that have just come in from the month of August, over 208,000 illegal immigrants apprehended, but that doesn't mean deportations. But the real issue that we have here in Texas, you're talking about 38 to 39,000 in what they call the getaways, the people that we aren't able to track, the people that we know get dispersed even more so throughout Texas and across the United States of America. So what we're facing here in Texas is a drug trafficking crisis, a human and sex trafficking crisis, and a public health crisis. And amazingly so, they want these, good law-abiding citizens here in Texas to get a jab in their arm, but they're not testing anybody down there walking across the border, nor are they giving them a jab in the arm.
Yeah, and Colonel, they're not even hiding from it. I mean, Jen Psaki was asked at the White House podium. So just to be clear, you can be fired from your job for not taking a vaccine, even if you have natural immunity. But if you walk into the country via Texas or elsewhere illegally, you don't have to get the vaccine. And Jen Psaki's answer was, yeah, next question. They're not hiding it, Colonel. They're just basically giving the double-barrel middle finger to the entire country.
Well, it's amazing, again, when you talk about today being Constitution Day, and you think about the unconstitutional actions coming down from this administration, and that's one of the main reasons why I'm stepping up to the plate to run for governor, because we've got to have strong state leadership. We got to have people that will push back against the federal government and say, we're going to protect Texans. We're going to protect our safety and security. We're going to secure our borders instead of just letting tens of thousands of people just come right across the Rio Grande River, to include cartel members who a month ago fired shots across the Rio Grande River into Texas, targeting Border Patrol agents, and nothing was done.
Colonel, if you were to win the governorship in Texas, talking to Colonel Allen West, website's west4texas.com, what can you do? I mean, this is clearly at this point, as I opened up the interview segment with, beyond a crisis. This has now turned into a human catastrophe on the border. I mean, the county I live in, you know well, Colonel, Martin County, the population of Martin County, you know what it is? 161,000, Colonel. You got 200, it's a pretty populated county in Florida, 200,000 people a month crossing the border. Those, as you said, those are only people we know about, not the getaways. It's probably closer to 300,000. That's the entire population of the county I live in. This is a public safety catastrophe. What can Texas do to stop it? And are they limited by the federal government, and in what ways?
Well, Texas is not limited by the federal government. First and foremost, when you read Article 4, Section 4 of the Constitution, it says that the federal government is supposed to protect the states, every state in the union, from invasion. Article 1, Section 10, Clause number 3 of the Constitution gives states the ability to protect themselves if actually invaded when there's imminent danger without any event of delay. That's laid out in our rule of law. So Texas should have its full National Guard down on the border. That's 19 to 20,000. Texas needs to be able to arrest, detain, and deport individuals and not rely upon the federal government, because they said they're not going to do it, being the Customs and Border Patrol agents or even the ICE. Texas needs to be able to as well. You know, when you look at what is happening with these cartels, they're a terrorist organization themselves, and we need to designate them that way. And we need to be able to go in and freeze their assets in some of the banks that we have here and seize those assets and use it for our border security. So those are some of the things initially we can do, and the Constitution gives us the right to be able to do that.
Talking to Colonel Allen West, running for governor in the incredible state of Texas. I spent a lot of time in Texas by hospitals out there, and I got to tell you, that cracks me up every day. Where are you from? Texas. So soon to be governor, I hope, Allen West. You know, when it comes to the state of Texas, Texas has been a job creator. It's been a state with a booming population. A lot of people from California coming over, which some have created an issue as they vote for some of the same garbage they left behind. But on a green shoot here, Colonel, I've been seeing some really positive numbers with the burgeoning Latino population in Texas, that many of them are turning into Republicans. Matter of fact, there's an interesting article in the Wall Street Journal today, even in California, how in the recall election didn't turn out our way. But, Colonel, Latino voters, especially Latino men, in record numbers voted for the recall. And it appears the tide is turning. And I think, I'd love to get your take on it, I think it's because the Democrats treat Latino voters like robots, as if they're not free-thinking human beings, when in fact they're no different than the rest of us. They have individual interests and family interests, and I think that's finally starting to catch up with them. And you stated in the beginning of the interview, a lot of these border towns with high Latino populations are starting to go the way of the Republican Party because they believe in freedom. You kind of feeling that same shift?
Yeah, you see the exact same thing. I think that what is happening is that there are people that don't want to be victims. They want to be victors. They don't want to be economically enslaved. They want to be economically empowered. And I think that the Democrats are losing their control, not just in the Hispanic community, but they're starting to see it slip away in the black community as well. We just had a conservative minority conference here in Dallas, Texas that we hosted, and we're going to try to have more of those conferences around the country. So the message that the Democrats are proliferating across the country, especially in the urban inner city communities where you see the greatest amount of failure of their policies, I think people are starting to reject it.
Yeah. We're talking to Colonel Allen West, running for governor in Texas. Colonel, last question. I'll let you go. Thanks for your time. You're very generous with it. Your thoughts, having a deep body of military experience, and I know you love this country. We've been friends a long time, obviously. You're a patriot. Your thoughts on Mark Milley, the Joint Chiefs Chairman, if the allegations about him happen to be true. He's not denying speaking with the Chinese Communist Party, but if he warned the Chinese Communist Party general about a potential attack, or said he would, to be precise, that's pretty frightening stuff.
Yeah, it's very damning, and if those allegations are true, without a doubt, that's a general court-martial, that is treason, that's sedition, and that carries a very heavy penalty. But as we have seen from the Biden administration, they're trying to make excuses for what happened because, again, they are lawless, they're unconstitutional, and they don't believe in the rule of law. Unlike with these men and women that I'm here with today, they do believe in that. So I got to tell you, I look forward to you coming down here and visiting us in Texas, and maybe we can convince you to come here to the Texas Gun Ranch and do a little shooting here in Terrell, Texas.
All right, make sure you give him where is the Texas Gun Ranch again? Let's give him another shout out. And I'm going to put it on my calendar, things to do. Where's the Texas Gun Ranch? Where can everybody go and fire off a few rounds and celebrate their Second Amendment right?
The Texas Gun Ranch is located right off of Highway 205 in Terrell, Texas. And also I'd like for people to go and look at the website, which is Homes for Our Troops, and support Homes for Our Troops. The difference about this organization is that they build the houses where the veterans want the house to be built.
Gotcha. Colonel, thanks a lot. Always doing the right thing. We really appreciate it. Best of luck in the race. And to all the folks at the Texas Gun Ranch, God bless you, man. Keep fighting a good fight. It's worth it. Thanks for joining us today. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. Bye, Dan.
You got it. Take care. Folks, that was Colonel Allen West running for governor in the great state of Texas. Texas. I love when you ask them that, Texans. You all got attitude in Texas. I love that, especially me being a New Yorker. I'm Dan Bongino. We'll be right back.
Bongino.